Hello there, my name is Cheryl Liew and I am the creator of the 24-Hour Woman. At the same time, I'm a high performance coach, also the founder of LifeWorks, a firm where we look at how we can create more contemporary, inclusive and agile workplaces. I am pleased today to be part of Community Businesses programming for Asia Employee Wellness Program. And today I am going to be sharing with you a couple of tools. I'm going to be sharing with you 6 tools in the midst of all that's happening, how high performance can still happen for you and your team as you go into all the work that you have been doing. First of all, we look at what it means in terms of high performance. How can it all come together? There are 3 basic elements that we are looking at, and that is, where is your area of passion that drives you? What are some of your practices that actually structure, that goes through the day? And what are some of the protocols, meaning systems? This would be your habits. And this, we are looking at what are your motivation. In today's segment, I'm going to be speaking very much more in terms of systems so that you can actually put it into play immediately and begin to see the results. But at the end of the day, what we are wanting to get is that you have high performance without the burnout. I have been working in the area of diversity, inclusion, and high performance for the last 15 years. And there has been a lot of research that has gone into this, particularly in this model, where we look at not just processes, but we also look at you as the unique person, what are your values and what motivates you, and that's why passion is a very big piece. And at the same time, we look at what are some of the habits that we can be rebuilding in order to support us to be a high performer. Today's segment, we're going to be focusing very much in terms of protocols and systems. Based on what we have scheduled, I believe we will have time for six different things for you to focus on right now that will make a difference for you and your team. The very first is BAT. What exactly is BAT? BAT means block and tackle, right? What are some of the important things that you think are important? You wrote them down and you have a list. Now, every single day, what exactly do you do with the list? If you could look at, all right, these are my top 3 priorities, I really need to get this done by when? By end of today. Then you block and tackle this. Every item, depending on how experienced you are, how much time do you think you will need for this, every item schedule, say, an hour, or this one you schedule 45 minutes, this one you schedule an hour and a half because you're not as competent in it. But the important thing is, in that day, it actually gets done. Therefore, this is called block and tackle. Easy, right? So take a look at your list now. What are the things that you are doing, you have put down in your to-do list? How can you block and tackle some of them? Now, before you get into that, let me share with you another area, and that is called themes. Our minds are built to focus, and when you have too many different things happening at the same time, none of it gets productive. So if you have too many projects running at the same time, you're jumping from one thing, from one email to a text to talking to somebody, your mind is not focused. You will take a longer time to finish that one particular task. And that's why we have this area called themes. And when you set up themes, it merely means, for example, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What are these days for? For some of us who have a little bit more flexibility, Monday may be a product day. You do a lot of product design, for example. The second one is product 2, but working with your team, right? Sharing ideas to get all the things that's related to product done. And then on Wednesday, maybe, it will be people day. Thursday will be people day. Now, why is it different? It could be you going out to visit other stakeholders or visit your clients. The other people there is really meeting with your team, working through with your team on some of the issues that they have as a team. How can we improve communications and all? So that becomes less stressful because it makes decision so much easier. For example, if somebody were to ask you, hey, Cheryl, I need to have I need to have a conversation with you around this particular product series that we're launching. Which day did I say that I'm going to be available? I'm going to be saying that I'm available on Monday or Tuesday. Right? If you do not have the liberty to say at the exact whole day, segment a portion of the day specifically for this, so you take that decision out of your mind. So if it is something that has to do, for me, for example, if it has something to do with finance or legal, very simply, I just park it on a Friday. That takes the decision making out of it and less stress on yourself to like decide on so many things. Next, DH. I love this. DH means daily huddle. And that means I get to meet with my team. My team is global. They are all over the world. So we pick a time that is best for everybody, usually at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. So it meets both Eastern and West and our time, Eastern, East Coast, New York and our time. And we do a daily huddle. What do we do in the daily huddle? In the daily huddle, what we talk about is basically all the things that, it's just an update for everybody, what's going to be happening for everybody, perhaps share what are their block and tackle so that we know everything dovetails and everybody has a chance to ask questions and then how their work might be an input or an output of another person. So that's the daily huddle. Doesn't have to be long, it's a short huddle. So you don't have to sit down, have an agenda, etc. In fact, most of our huddles, wherever we are, it's almost always held standing, because that means that we are very focused, we're going to get it, we get the communication done, we have our huddle, and then we move on to do the real work. Next, PM. PM takes a little bit of explanation, so I've drawn up for you the priority matrix. Yes, not a stranger to many of you, I bet, but the thing is, how have we been using it? Right? So when we say that the axis is important, not important, urgent, not urgent. Most of the time on our list, we have a lot over here. It's almost always crisis management. I need to do it, I need to do it today, and everything is important. However, if it is important but not urgent, we have 1, 2, 3. And then we have this list of urgent but not important. Right, so what might this be? This might be A, B, C. And then not urgent, not important. I actually wonder why they're on your list. You need to find a home for them, or you need to delete them altogether. Now you may then say, okay, Cheryl, how do we deal with this? Number one, I want you to ask yourself, urgent and not important. Go through that list. Is it really urgent? Is it really not important? Does it need to have to be done anyway? Make sure that none of them are hiding here when they actually belong here. So the list get culled, and then basically you either go into automation or you go into outsourcing, right? Or you go into delegation. This, I'm sure you know, very familiar. However, when you look at this, remember we said block and tackle? Right. So if you were to block and tackle these 3, I want you to every day take at least 1, if not 2, from here and block and tackle them. The rationale is before they land into this quadrant is done, so that this actually gets lesser and lesser. Take a sip of water. And in the meantime, what might be your list looking like for important but not urgent? Because for me, one of the biggest challenge as a high performer for managing yourself so that you do not burn out is that this list gets smaller and smaller, and you are less and less in the crisis management mode. Therefore, one of the ways is to move this, get this done, so that it doesn't ever land on this particular quadrant. Easy? So I want you to track this particular week, the entire week. I want you to track your list and where does that meet? What can be moved to which quadrant to correctly reflect the state so that you're not always in a state of chaos, dealing with chaos or dealing with disruptions, dealing with interruptions. This is called the priority matrix. So we are now done. We are now done with priority matrix. So what is SC? A little bit scary because some of you are guessing. Yes, you're right. It's called a scorecard. Now, why exactly do we need a scorecard? The scorecard is for you to actually take note of whatever you're doing in your list or whatever you're block and tackling. What value, what true value does it really create for you as a high performer? Or are you just busy? So, for example, if you are writing a book or if you are doing copywriting, for example, what exactly are you doing? And then what dollar value, for example? If you didn't do it, if it was hired out, how much value would that have been? Right? Because at the end of the day, I want to know that my value creation is exactly what it should be. I'm creating the value that I should as a high performer, and I'm not just doing busy work and not creating any value, and such that at the end of the day, there's nothing to show for. Right? So, and this can only happen when you go out to the field of play, which means you don't hide behind doing busy work, which means you don't hide behind doing all the things that could have been automated, could have been delegated. You actually go out and do the real work and test it, right? And then you will know what real value you are creating. And finally, optimizer. This is my favorite. And this happens at the end of the day, but it gets you into the next day very quickly. And the very first thing is about how can we write down what is it that you need to focus on the next day. So what are your block and tackle for the next day? What are your must do for the next day? And then get that prepared so that when the next day happens, you just glide straight into it. The least resistance the less resistance that you have, the easier it is to glide into the next day. Then the other thing is when the optimizer is to see what you have already done. And then give yourself a pat on the back. Well done, and the value that you have actually created, right? And most of all, at the end of the day, you can take a stock take on your scorecard to say the value I've created, the work I've done, great job. And then these are the things that I'm going to go into the next day. And as you write that down, you're putting it out of your mind, which is a major playground for stress and burnout. You want to get out of your mind and glide right in to the next day as you get in to do the work. So there you have it, 6 different strategies that you can use as a high performer to avoid burnout. And this lies mainly in this particular area where we have the systems in place under the Success Catalyst framework. Now, I've got only this amount of time with you for this particular segment, but I'd like to offer you a gift called the 21 Proven Productivity Hacks. Go on right to my website, either one of this, and download your free 21 proven strategies for productivity and use them. Use them together with the 6 strategies, key strategies I've just shared with you. Because once you have that, and you try it out for a week, you already notice the difference. And then by the time if we work together, we layer it on with your practices and habits, right? We have an overhaul in terms of your mindset and positioning of that mindset. And then we tap into your motivation in terms of your clarity. Imagine you as a powerhouse, not just at work, but in your work and in your life, living a full life that is truly yours, fully expressed in your workplace and in your other personal life as a high performer, enjoying and excelling in whatever you do. So my name is Cheryl. I am pleased to have shared these 6 key strategies with you as you look beyond all that's happening and in all that you do is a high performer, enjoying family, enjoying friends, and enjoying your work. See you at the next live event or on my website. I look forward to seeing you as we get on to our groups.